Human and biodiversity crisis. Many individuals do not think about the damage they are causing on biodiversity. However, it is important as humans to realize the impact we have on biodiversity because without it, there would be no human existence. If no changes are made in the ways humans use resources on Earth, there will continue to be a degradation of biodiversity until human lives can no longer be sustained. Humans affect biodiversity by their population numbers, use of land, and their lifestyles, causing damage to habitats for species. It is important for humans to realize how their actions affect biodiversity and the importance of maintaining what biodiversity is left on Earth. Through proper education and by demanding that governments make decisions to preserve biodiversity, the human population will be able to sustain life on Earth longer. Biodiversity and its importance. Biodiversity is the term that is given to describe the variety of life on Earth and the natural patterns it forms. It is the result of evolution, natural processes, and human influence. Biodiversity involves diversity of genes within a species of species, within ecosystems, and of ecosystems in the biosphere. Biodiversity is not determined by only one factor, but rather many factors that differ spatially and temporally. Although many humans may not realize how important biodiversity is to them, it is clear that without it, humans would not be able to exist. Each day, humans use 40,000 species, most of which go totally unnoticed. Even though only a minority of humans realize it, biodiversity provides humans with food, water, oxygen, energy, detoxification of wastes, stabilization of Earth's climate, medicine, opportunities for recreation and tourism, and many more things. Simply put, there would be no population of humans without biodiversity. Extinction of species. The most obvious indicator of biodiversity is the number of species on the planet. Currently, there are 1.75 million species that have been identified. However, some speculate that there are at least 10 million living species on Earth. To look at the loss of biodiversity, the number of extinctions of species should be examined. Extinction is a kind of organism or a group of organisms of kinds or a taxon, usually a species. It is naturally considered as the death of the last individual of the species, although the capacity to breed and to recover may have been lost before. Rates of extinction are currently up to 40,000 species per year. That's 100 per day or 4 per hour. This rate is 50 to 100 times the natural rate of extinction and is expected to increase in the coming years. The extinction rate is of great concern because once a species is extinct, there is no chance of ever getting the species back on the planet. Three main problems that cause species extinction are habitat loss, degradation, and fragmentation. Habitat loss is described as the complete destruction of a habitat. An example of habitat loss would be a logging of forest. Habitat degradation is when a habitat diminishes to a point where it can no longer support biological communities. An example of this would be habitats that are polluted by industry. Habitat fragmentation is described as a habitat that is broken into smaller, discontinuous segments of land for development. An example of this would be putting a road in the middle of a habitat. All three of these problems that result in species extinction are directly related to human influence. Human actions. There is no clear way of determining the total impact that humans are making on biodiversity. However, it is obvious that many actions by humans are causing a decrease in biodiversity. To determine the total impact that humans are making on a given environment, the area of productive land and water needed to produce the item that is being consumed, and the need to account for the waste being generated by humanity must all be taken into account, according to management and production practices in use during that time. Direct or indirect actions by humans have resulted in the decrease of biodiversity. The Convention of Biological Diversity states that there are indirect and direct human drivers. Some of the indirect human drivers are demographic, economic, socio-political, scientific and technological, and cultural and religious factors. Some of the direct human drivers are changes in local land use and land cover, species introductions or removals, external inputs, harvesting, air and water pollution, and climate change. Human activity has substantially changed 1/3 to 1/2 of the world's surface. In the next 50 years, it is expected that humans will seriously impact 50 to 90% of land in developing countries. This is a result of growth in population and in overconsumption of natural resources. The population of human is what many consider the root of biodiversity problem. The number of humans on Earth as of today is more than 7 billion. The increase in human inhabitants causes a problem because when it comes to the need to convert natural habitats to land for human consumption. One way that humans have been able to sustain their growth is by converting natural habitats to fields where foods can be produced. At least 23% of the Earth's land is being used for agriculture. In the US, there is a direct relationship between the loss of forests to the increase in cropland. Internationally, there is a half hectare of tropical forest disappearing to farmland every second. One of the potential dangers of decreasing the amount of natural habitats remaining is that species will no longer be present on Earth. This directly affects agriculture because many of the species that are being destroyed for croplands may have been used for genetically enhancing crop products. Of growth in population and in overconsumption of natural resources. The population of human is what many consider the root of biodiversity problem. The number of humans on Earth as of today is more than 7 billion. The increase in human inhabitants causes a problem because when it comes to the need to convert natural habitats to land for human consumption. One way that humans have been able to sustain their growth is by converting natural habitats to fields where foods can be produced. At least 23% of the Earth's land is being used for agriculture. In the US, there is a direct relationship between the loss of forests to the increase in cropland. Internationally, there is a half hectare of tropical forest disappearing to farmland every second. One of the potential dangers of decreasing the amount of natural habitats remaining is that species will no longer be present on Earth. This directly affects agriculture because many of the species that are being destroyed for croplands may have been used for genetically enhancing crop products. In this manner, the increase in agricultural land actually harms our agricultural future. Human actions have also played a role in climate change, which is also causing great danger for biodiversity. The change in climate is due to increased atmospheric concentration of carbon dioxide, which causes increased land and ocean temperatures, and the changes in precipitation and sea level rise. With the change in climate also comes a change in species. Climate affects the timing of reproduction and migration, the length of growing seasons, species distributions and population size, and frequency of pest and disease outbreaks. It is also expected that the change in climate in the 21st century will have a much higher rate than the past 10,000 years and create an even bigger impact on biodiversity.